Alright, and here we are back out at the edge of the field. You can see we're kind of along the edge of the building here. There's already a bit of a path going back through here. You probably can't really see that on the camera, but it's kind of worn in. So I'm hoping to reuse that as part of my trails. And then as you come back here, you can see I have the ladder up. I semi-fixed that gutter. It wasn't terribly interesting. Pretty much just the same thing that I did on the other side. Digging up mud and then hanging it up so it's sturdy again. Sturdier anyway. But there's this kind of little, well, first of all, there's the big rock hole over here. And then there's like a brush hole over here that is full of downed trees or limbs or something. But in between that, there's this kind of little bridge. Probably doesn't show up well on camera because cameras are flat. But I think it's probably wide enough for me to drive the lawn tractor through. So I would kind of like to use it to be my access trail back into here and then back around over to there, which is by that last kind of yellowish tree back there is where our trail through the woods comes out. The only problem is this right here is not just a bush, it's actually a stump. Very, very solid stump. And you probably couldn't see that because I was falling over. It's a very solid stump. So, what I think I'm going to have to do there is actually dig that out if I want to get back through here. Not 100% sure how well this is going to work anyway, because it's a little steep coming down the other side there, but won't know until we try, right? So the next project here is going to be to dig that stump out. So I've got a shovel and a reciprocating saw to cut the roots, and hopefully that will do the trick. So let's see how this goes. Okay, well, I've got the roots pretty well excavated around, I don't know, maybe 2/3 of the stump. This here is obviously a bit of a mess. That's practically solid wood in there. So it's hard to dig in between, but there's a few other places where I've been able to dig right down around the roots. And then what I'm going to do is come back in with the reciprocating saw and cut those roots, and then possibly dig down further, find some more roots, basically keep going until we freed enough of the stump that hopefully we can just kind of roll it out of the way. I've heard that once you cut enough of the roots, these things you can actually just kind of pull them over, and since throwing it over on the side there would be more than sufficient for me, I'm kind of hoping we can do that rather than having to cut all the way around it. But we'll see what happens. So, time to switch tools to the reciprocating saw, and let's see how this goes. Well, good news and bad news. Good news is I have cut a whole bunch of roots. Bad news is this thing is still rock solid. Ick, stepped in the mud pile, or dirt pile. Speaking of rocks, found that one down in that hole over there. That was really fun, and had to change blades on the saw because the old one was getting pretty dull and it was not really cutting anything. So yeah, this is obviously going to take a while. So much for I'm only going to cut 3/4 of the way around. Sure looks like I'm going to have to do the whole thing in order to get this out of here. So since this is going to pretty much be more of the same of what you've just been watching for however long, I think I'm going to go ahead and shut the camera off for a while, and I'll bring you back when I am thinking I'm ready to pull the stump out. Alright, enjoy the break. Alright, I'm calling it, at least for the day, maybe for good. You can see the pile of roots that I've pulled out of there already, and the rather large trench that I've dug. It's kind of hard to get in here now. Had to go quite deep all the way around, and I'm still finding new roots. And unfortunately, some spots I did not leave enough space to dig further down. Stop screaming. And unfortunately, the stump shows no particular signs of moving. So, that's not a terrific sign. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm starting to get tired, and I'm making tired mistakes, and since I'm using power tools, that's a really terrific way to get hurt. So I'm going to stop, sleep on it, see if I'm going to come back to this, or just find a different place to put the path, because this is not fun. I can see why people pay money to have stumps removed. Alright, this is me signing off. We'll see if I come back to this one. Okay, back to this stump for another try. As you can see, the trench that I dug has filled up with water because the only weather we have here anymore is rain. So, after doing a little bit more research into stump removal and possible tips and tricks about how I could maybe make this work, I read that some trees have a taproot that goes straight down, and there's basically no way I'm going to be able to cut that. Fortunately, what I realized is that I don't really need to cut it. In fact, I don't need to remove the stump completely at all. All I really need to do is cut it off low enough so that I can get the lawn tractor over it and then drive back into the field. So, since I have a little chainsaw in addition to my reciprocating saw, and it should be more than large enough to take care of this little stump, I'm going to see if I can just dig down at the base of the stump there and expose enough of the stump, away from the dirt so that I'm not trashing the chain, and then see if I can just kind of cut it off, maybe like flush with this root here that was basically on the surface of the muddy. That was basically on the surface of the ground before I started all of this digging. So yeah, I guess that's the plan, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so bringing you around the other side, you can kind of see that I have cleared the dirt away from the base of the stump. I actually went lower on this side than I did over here because the whole thing kind of slopes down this way. So I think I'm going to want it to be a little bit lower on this side. And then since I've got all of this space down here, I'll probably cut from this side too. Although, maybe not, because it's also super muddy down here. You can see I dug a little trench to try to get some of the water out of here. Unfortunately, I think all of the water that's standing over there is actually pretty much the same height as what's here, so it's not being terribly effective. But maybe it'll provide a place for the water to go once I start filling this back in. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, and I found some more garbage back here too. That's super fun. I don't even know what it is. It's all covered in mud. Some sort of fence post or something. Yeah, apparently the previous owner really did use this as a trash heap. So, next up, chainsaw right across there, and see if we can do this without destroying the chain. Alright, let's try it. Success! Alright, I'm going to put this down now because it's really heavy. As you may have seen from the time lapse, I had a little bit of trouble because of that root. It was blocking the chainsaw from cutting straight through, so I ended up having to go around to the other side and cut from over there and try to meet back up. Did a pretty decent job. Doesn't line up perfectly, but it's not too bad. And the main thing is, that should be pretty close to even with the ground. Hopefully even enough that once I pile all of this dirt back in there, it'll allow the lawn tractor to drive over it without hooking up on it. I might go ahead and throw this stump in that hole to help fill things in too. I know it'll rot eventually, but I can tell you it's plenty solid right now. And by the time it rots, hopefully the stump will have rotted and I won't care as much anymore. So, I don't know, I might come back and clean this up a little bit. It's sticking up a little bit, as you can maybe see there. But for the most part, I think that's probably going to be good enough. And so I'll call it there. So, I'm calling success on this one. I guess we'll see once I can get the lawn tractor back in here. I don't think I'm even going to try because, like I said, there's standing water back here in some of these lower spots, and I'd rather not get it stuck. So that'll be a project for another day. But whew, after the way this was going the previous time I tried, I am super happy with this. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, bonus footage. It occurred to me that I should go ahead and record shoveling all of the dirt back into place. You can see, pretty nice smooth ramp through there. I guess we'll see if I can get the lawn tractor through there, but if I can't, I can always take a few of those rocks and embed them in there to raise things up a little bit. So, looking good. Obviously getting dark here, so I'm gonna call it a night. Alright, thanks for watching.